Hi guys, welcome back to the next video. In this video, we are going to quickly understand what we're going to do on this particular section. In this section, we are going to configure EC2 instances for you to work with Kubernetes. Now, why we are not choosing an AWS ECS instance or EKS instance is because, very simple, we don't want a auto-managed instances. We want self-managed instances, which means that we want to create instances on AWS using EC2 and then learn Kubernetes. All right. So we are not here to administer Kubernetes and you're not going to host any applications on it. We are going to learn Kubernetes. For that, an EC2 instance would be exactly what we need right now. So according to what you see on the screen, so we are going to create a 3-node cluster here. I'm sorry, it is going to have 2-node cluster, and 1 node is going to be the control plane. And other 2 nodes is going to be your data plane or compute plane. So in our free laptop server, we have seen the configuration of the same using the name called manager 1 and worker 1 and worker 2. So you can name it as it is also. So it's just the name which you're going to give, but the operations it's going to function is all going to be the same, irrespective of the name you're going to call it. So different companies will have different name sets they would call upon, but the operations you're going to do is going to be very similar. So for this configuration set, what we're going to do is we're going to do step-by-step configuration. So I've given you a GitHub page as well for the same. Now the GitHub page will go to the AWS setup for Kubernetes. So now setup is just going to be on AWS or your free laptop server. So either ways, irrespective of where you set up, the rest of the course will go as usual, because the rest of the course does not worry about where your instances are set up. Either it's on your laptop, or it's on AWS instance, or it's on Google Cloud instance. It really doesn't matter. So here, as you can see on the screen, so we're going to configure one EC2 instance. Before that, we're going to configure a security group, of course, which is going to allow the network communication to flow between these servers using internal network. So there are 2 IP addresses which will be directly assigned to your EC2 instance. One is a static internal network IP address, which is assigned to all these AWS instances, through which you should actually communicate between these 3 servers. So it is not advisable to configure or to work with your public IP address unless and until you have brought extra the elastic IP address, where it is you pay extra for that static IP address and you have them assigned for your EC2 instance. So we're not going to do that because it's extra money spending again. So we're going to, tightly, stick with our budget. So over here, I've had these 3 servers will be configured. One will be control plane, which will be mounted on the security group, which is nothing but your network configuration of port numbers, where we'll be configuring the the port numbers, which is like inbound port numbers to this control plane. And we will configure another security group, and we create 2 instances of EC2 instance. And then we rename this instances to compute plane 1, compute plane 2. So we will be using a T2 medium in this scenario, because the free tier, whatever is available, is not recommended for Kubernetes. So you have to use a minimum T2 medium. And it's also recommended to run, the worker nodes on T2 large and the control plane on T2 medium. So that's the recommendation, but still we can work with T2 medium, because if you're not going to spend more money on this, so you can go stick with T2 medium for all 3 servers. Now you can also configure just 2 servers here to even minimize the cost, but to get the perfect exposure towards the course, it is always recommended to have 3 of these servers. So it gives you a good infrastructure view when you are working with a cluster, because you will have 2 worker nodes or more than 2 worker nodes on a real-time environment. So it is more advisable to do it to control plane nodes. Moving on, so we will be configuring the security group. We'll configure the EC2 instances, and then we will have the Wave network configured. So the Wave network will help you up to, this is just like a funnel, what we used to use on the free laptop server. We use a different network. Here we use a different network. This is just for a difference to make you understand on this the new network. But the configuration and whole point of doing all these work around this is almost the same as you work with the other one, which is funnel. So there's not much difference there. And then what we will do is like we will configure containerd on all these servers, install Docker on all these servers, install Kubernetes on all these servers, just like the normal operations which we have done so far. So we will be doing all those operations and installation of all these items. And once all these items are installed, then we will go ahead and work with the other components of our you can carry on and continue this training. I have also given steps in towards like integrating this also. So that is also something which you can look out for. Integrating as in like creating, initializing the cluster here and then joining the cluster. The node section is not updated with that information, but it's very simple commands. You can look at the video and execute the commands. So that's pretty much what I want to cover on this particular video. So this is the architecture which we're going to look forward for. Thank you again for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one.